Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Done Concierge. Folks, we're here in March now, so we got spring cleaning, got all kinds of things to do. Maybe you got spring break coming up. You want to get a bunch of things done before you go, and when you get back, you need to be in two places at once, and that's what Mary and her team at Simply Done Concierge can help you with. If you go to simplydoneconcierge.com, tell us what you're looking for. Mary and her team will be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding towns. There are 32 chapters that meet every week. Our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story this week is Melanie Mickle, president and founder of M Squared Realty. And she is in the RD13 Top of the Triangle core group that Amnon and I are in. And we're going to welcome Melanie as the first guest back in the studio since COVID started. So, Melanie, good to have you on the show today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are glad to have you here. And the hat game, I don't know. So before we get to the real estate stuff, I love the hat game. How did that get started?
Probably my grandfather. He loved hats, and so I grew up seeing him wear hats all the time, and I just love them. I think it's a fun look and different. Not everybody does it.
Oh, I agree. So when you're out and about, do you see a hat and go, "Ooh, wait," or do you actually go shopping for hats?
Usually it's just kind of an out and about thing. If I'm out somewhere and I see a hat that I like and I don't already have it, that's the key.
And you look at a hat and think, obviously no style here. Everybody can tell that. So when you look at a hat, do you think, hmm, I know where I could wear that one day or what I could wear it with? Are we that
No,
detailed?
not even that detailed. Usually
Okay.
it's just a hat if I like it and I don't already have it. Because again, that's kind of the key. If I have a few hats. So,
No, looks good. Looks good. So Melanie is a realtor, and the real estate world, I think in the last 3 years, I'm safe to say it's been like a roller coaster ride for you.
yeah, it's been interesting. Besides the fact that I started my own company, real
Yes.
estate in general has been fun.
Yep. So right before COVID, I don't even remember what the interest rates were before COVID. Do you?
I don't remember what the interest rates were a month ago,
Yeah,
so
and
probably
then they
not.
dip down and everybody's refinancing, everybody's trying to get right at 3%. Now it's what, 6.2, 6.3, something
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
hovering in the sixes.
So people can still buy a house today, it's just different.
Yes, definitely can still and highly recommend that you do, but it is a little bit different. The rates.
One of the things that people struggled with when interest rates were so low is you would find a seller, you put the house on the market and you get 14 offers.
Yes, it was interesting times. Wasn't even necessarily about the rates because inventory levels were low. So it had a lot to do with the inventory levels as well as the interest rates being so low.
And now
Combination.
you have higher interest rates, so it's a little bit different to not, well, it is tougher at times too, but different to buy. But I think one of the things I've heard realtors tell people is if you want to get in, now's a good time to get in because you're not competing usually against 14 other offers, right?
Right, right. We are starting to see the market pick up a bit though. So definitely if you are thinking about buying, now is a good time just because spring market is coming, but it's not quite here yet. So there's not as much competition.
For folks that are renting and their goal is either by the end of the year or first of 2025 to be in their own house or their first house, what are a couple things they need to think about to plan for that?
So making a plan is a great idea because you really do need to plan. Whether you're buying your first house or your 50th, planning is important. So starting with the plan is key, and then calling me would be the second step from there. And then we would put you in touch with a lender who can really look at your unique and independent financial schedule just because everybody's is a little bit different. So then you're going to kind of assess all of that and put together the plan. But first steps would be starting with the idea that you want to do it, and then give me a call and we'll put you in the direction for the next. But that's definitely a good place to start.
When we've had mortgage lenders on the show before, we would talk about uh, getting approved first, because if I'm buying a house and you're representing me and I'm approved for 350,000 and I keep nudging you to that $400,000 house that I really like but can't afford, it's going to get a little bit frustrating for both of us, isn't it?
Definitely. You want to start to the lender so that you know what your range is. And definitely staying within that range is part of it. You want to stay with what you can afford, whether it's your monthly payment that you've decided on or your total house price. Definitely want to know what that is.
Do you want buyers who know what they want and where they want it?
Always a good idea to have an idea of what you want. But what I find is that throughout the buying process, what you told me initially doesn't always end up being what you buy. But that's okay, because part of what I do is educate my clients on different things. And sometimes it's the area, sometimes it's their expectations. It's, a combination of everything.
Because they come to you and like, I got to have this, and then they
Right.
see a house. Oh, a cul-de-sac. That's a good
Maybe
idea.
something they hadn't thought about. But yes, I have a great testimonial in my video about that. She says, which I did not prompt us, but she said, we looked at what we had put on paper and then Melanie convinced us. And I was like, well, I didn't really convince, but it's funny that you say that, because it is part of the process, kind of going through really what's your ideals. And we do have our top threes of what we won't give on, because that's important to know. What are the top three things that you don't want to give on at all?
You have to have that,
Yeah.
either location or size of the house, what yard.
Yard could be if you have a dog and you want to have a fenced in backyard, and that's something you won't give on. That's important to know. It just varies.
Any good stories about what people said they don't want,
Um,
or any unusual have to haves? Because we would normally think a master or three bedrooms or one floor, things like
yeah,
that.
we
But
go through the list. Pets are a big thing. Most people have pets, and a lot of people want to plan on their pets. So I think that's the most requested thing that we do get, is a yard for the pets or a special place for the pets. Those are kind of common, I should say.
yeah, yeah, dogs. Yeah. When we moved to Daytona Beach in '99, we'd never lived anywhere with hurricane.
Wow.
And so our friends told us, all right, when you know a hurricane's coming, go to the pet store first, then the liquor store, then the grocery store. But the pets are always taken care of. And I'm
That's
sure you've
hilarious.
seen that. Now, do you show buyers a house and they bring their dog with them?
I have not had anybody bring their dog on a showing, but I have had people bring their dog once we get it under contract for the inspection, just to make sure, let them sniff out the
Yeah,
backyard.
a little Sparky, check it out and
Yeah.
everything. Sellers, do we try to tell you how to do your job sometimes?
I mean, sometimes sellers have a different idea of what the home selling process is, but I listen to everybody's thoughts and help them accomplish their individual real estate goals.
There are some seats in BNI, and yours is one of them. I believe I'm correct in that. A lot of times I run across people that, no, my Uncle Billy does that for
Yes.
me, and I find out that Uncle Billy's a landscaper, but he's doing the IT work. I'm sure you get that too. Well, my friend said I should get this for this house,
Yes.
and they have no
Hmm.
clue because they probably live across town, right?
Yes. I'm being very vague here.
But no, no, no. My cousin dabbles in real estate, so and he said, no, 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 it's got to drive you nuts. And
It happens. It happens. And, a lot of times with buyers, you have that also with the inspection. Everybody knows something about a house.
oh,
And
okay, and thought
yeah,
about that.
yeah. So
Uh,
they like to inspect behind inspectors or, whatever.
the problem is they don't know the law and what needs to be done, should be done, has to, so.
And that's what we help with, right? Is we help answer those
Mm.
questions. And I do feel like a big part of my job is educating So whether it's a buyer or a seller, we're educating them on the process because this is what I do all day, every day. So I know a thing or two about it, and I'm happy to share my knowledge.
There are some things we purchase we have to call an expert, and I would put a house right up there with anything
It's the
else.
biggest financial investment most people will ever make. So I highly recommend getting a pro involved to help.
Are you finding people are moving further out to get a deal that they can afford?
Yes, yes, and no, but some people just prefer to be further out. So
Mhm.
that could be their preference is to be further
Yeah,
out.
because
And we're,
there's options everywhere, aren't
yes,
there?
that's what I was going to say. We're blessed that we have a lot of development in our area and it's creeping out further and further.
They're going to be building how this is 2024. They're going to be building houses here for a long, long time, aren't they?
Chatham Park is a perfect example. That's a 25-year plan.
Which is good for you because that'll help you develop your retirement plan, right?
Exactly.
Do you remember the first house, the first transaction you were ever part of?
Yes, I do.
And how did it, how was it different than you thought it would go?
Uh,
Or was it?
it was different because this is not the norm, especially these days, but there was an agent bonus on this house.
Oh,
So it was actually in McGregor Downs. And now, if you list anything in that subdivision, it pretty much gets multiple offers if you price it properly. So the fact that this one had an agent bonus on it was kind of a miracle in and of itself.
and you were representing the buyer or
I
the
was
seller?
representing the buyer.
Okay, and how many houses did you show that buyer for you
A
found
lot,
that one?
a lot. Yeah.
Number of most houses you've shown to somebody? Any idea how many that or what range that might be in?
It's up there.
Yeah.
Not in one sitting, but I've worked with buyers for 3 years before they
Oh,
purchased before.
wow. Okay.
So over the course of 3 years, you can look at a lot of houses.
Yeah. And my sense is you're part marriage counselor.
Definitely. I jokingly say that at the office I'm gonna put add to the door decal that it's an unlicensed therapist because I do a lot of that.
Do you find that husbands and wives, is it the same type of topics that they disagree on? Is there any?
I do see with married couples that, whether they've been married a year or 50 years, there's a lot of yin and yang that happens in relationships.
Now, I don't know how many guys think they have design skills or things like that, and I have none. So when Becky and I look at anything, it's really easy for me to go, you pick, I
Yeah.
don't know. But the fun part is somebody who, and usually it's the guy. I'm going to pick on guys here because, I'm right. Uh, or no, they try to talk their wife out of something because they think it would be better, and they sometimes should just really stop
I've seen it go both ways, though,
talking. Have
actually.
you?
There's some guys that have very good fashion sense and
Okay.
designing
All
skills
right.
and know what they want, and the wife's just let them do it. So I've seen a little bit of both.
Have you seen people change from a ranch to a two-story or vice versa?
Mm,
Or is that pretty locked, you think, with
no, not
people?
necessarily, because someone could come in and say, I want a ranch. Why do you want a ranch? We're going to dig into that. And if
Oh,
it's just
okay.
because they want to have all their main living on one level, then we can address that and get some guest bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah,
So,
because we look for, we're getting older. I'll just say that we're not old yet. We're getting
mm,
older. So we needed a
season.
master on the first floor because we don't want to mess with steps all the time.
Yeah,
So,
that's a biggie. A lot of people, once their kids go
yeah,
out to school or whatever, and they're thinking about downsizing, getting that main level residence is usually the
yeah.
next plan. So, again, we just want to know what your needs are.
And that's what it comes down to because we think we know, but until you talk it through,
Hmm.
I'm sure people have changed their mind on a lot of things once they heard themselves say something.
Yes, yes.
Or
So,
or better yet, the great parenting line. The best parenting line you have back is why?
yeah, yes.
Why do you really want that?
The answer is why or it depends.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
That's a great answer
Yeah.
to almost any question.
So you started, if I've got this right, in commercial development, 2002. That was a family business. Did I read
Yes.
all that correctly?
Well, not just a family business,
Okay.
but my ex-husband, when we got married, had just started his company about a year before
Okay.
that.
Right.
And so obviously their company was growing,
Mhm.
as was our relationship.
Did you enjoy the commercial part of it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very different. Um, but it was fun, and learning about the development was key to what I do now.
Yeah.
So
The decision to go on your own, from the time you really knew it was going to happen till it really happened? What kind of time frame are we looking at?
About 6 years, probably.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, as far as like when I knew I wanted to be
Yeah.
on my own and came up with the name, that was 6 years before it actually happened.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was.
Was it always there? You always wanted to do that, or did something trigger where you're like, you know what, I'm better off leading my own team?
When it finally happened, it was just a series of events that happened so smoothly that the only way I can explain it is because it was a miracle. um, because it was just like the doors were opening and it just happened at the right time. So my favorite saying through that whole thing is when it isn't God's timing, you can't force it, and when it is, you can't stop it, because
Yep.
that's exactly what happened to me.
On your website, you say you were born to be a realtor.
Yeah, I
What
think
does that
so.
mean?
Well, I think because I love people,
Mm,
and I think just hearing people's stories has always fascinated me, and I think it's a really crucial part of being a real estate agent is listening and actually hearing what people are telling you and then applying it, because these are choices people are going to make
mm,
for where they're going to live. Like, I take that very, very
yeah.
seriously.
And I know whether you're representing the buyer side or the seller side, you've seen some really emotional reactions
Yes.
on the closing.
It's exhilarating to be at the closing table when you have a first time home buyer
Yeah.
that, starts crying because they were able to purchase a house. Like, it's amazing. It's very fun to be a part of.
They just have that stunned look on their face, like, "Oh my gosh, I
Oh
just bought
yeah.
a house."
Oh yeah. And they're looking at a stack of papers that they just signed, and it still hasn't sunk in yet, which is why I always follow up afterwards just to make sure.
That is one of those things with buying a house. If you ever thought you could not sign enough papers, try buying a house, right?
Yes. It's getting better though. We've got
Oh,
the
is it?
e-closings in North Carolina, so
Okay.
that's fairly new, but
All right. The industry is changing a bunch, right?
oh my goodness, yes.
Uh,
And
so
I think it's just like anything, it's
yeah,
always going to change.
more to benefit the process or the buyers or the sellers or who in general,
Definitely the
yeah.
process,
Okay.
just to help people
Mm,
get through it a lot easier. I think there's a lot of changes that have helped. Not just agents help with our job, but consumers, just with like being able to search online now. That's a huge
yeah.
difference than even before I was licensed, when realtors had to go down to the office and pull out the books and look at the available inventory. I've
Oh,
never had to do that.
geez.
I'm not that old, but I
That's right
think,
before Zillow and all
yes.
those, right?
hmm
Go down to what office? The
The
county office?
Realtor Association, where the
Oh.
database was kept. It was all on paper. Think about it, before computers.
Wait, when was that?
I don't even
You weren't born
know.
yet. I think we determined that.
It
Yes.
was before
Yeah, I
me.
guess you don't think about these days because now it's like, Mike, I'm just going to send you this document, look it over, sign it, and send it back to me.
Yes, with the e-closings,
Yeah.
it's really a benefit to the consumer too, because when you're closing, you get those documents 3 to 4 days before closing.
Hmm.
So you really get a chance to read it when we're sitting down at the closing table for traditional signing, which, not slamming it, because we take as long as we need.
Hmm.
I've had closings that have taken 15 to 30 minutes and closings that have taken quite a few hours. But it is really hard to digest that information in
Yeah.
one sitting. So I think that's a benefit.
My favorite closings, well, my favorite story about having knowing what you're prepared to walk away from. Okay, when you want something so bad, you got to be prepared. If it doesn't work out,
Mhm.
be prepared to walk away. And it involved my brother. The house, I think it's the house they're in now. So they've been in there. His youngest son is 19. So I think they've been in there 20 years, 21 years maybe. And they got to the closing, and the buyer of his house he was selling decided to see what my brother was worth at the closing table. And right before they're getting ready to sign, the buyer goes, um, yeah, about some of those repairs, I'd like you to go ahead. I've changed my mind. I think you need to go ahead and make those before we sign here. And my brother pushed his chair back, got out, got almost to the door, and the guy goes, okay, all right, we don't have to do that. My brother came back and sat down. They signed some more papers. The buyer decided to test him one more time. My brother pushed his chair back. Guy goes, okay, stay there. We'll just sign this. So,
Wow.
but I'm
That's
sure you've seen some different reactions at closings, conversations, people wanting
Well,
to change
they're
things.
separate now, where I go in
Oh,
with my
really?
client and the buyer's agent usually would come in at a different time to
Oh,
sign. Yeah.
where's the fun in that? Don't you need a
I
little
think
tension and stuff? A little
no,
drama?
no, we don't like that. We don't like that. That's no fun. Good stories later, but not in
Okay,
the
yeah.
moment.
Okay, well, that's good. So you have 4 kids. I like the way you describe them as beautiful. I'm sure you mean that both externally and internally, right? Okay,
Absolutely.
good. Which of the 4, who's most like you?
Ooh, I think they all got me in 'em.
Well, that's kind of good, right? Aren't
Yeah.
we
Well, it
mostly okay
depends
with
on which
that?
traits we're talking about, but
Well,
yes, yes.
every parent just divvies those. My youngest son is a lot like me, and I many times will tell him, "I'm sorry and you're welcome."
Mm, true. Very true. Yep.
So who's likely to go into the real estate world of your 4 kids? Any of
I
them?
feel like all of them, to be honest. I just haven't figured it out yet, but they're all, they've been literally grew up in it on both sides, from the commercial aspect to the residential aspect to, everything in between. They were going to open houses with me early on. So, yeah, they've
Nice.
been exposed to it literally their whole life. So,
Now, um, you were a parent before you were in real estate at all. So that gave you the skills to juggle things. Because I know as a realtor, it's not always easy, and there's like 14 plates, balls, everything in the air, juggling at once. So did the mom skills
I,
come in handy?
well, I jokingly say that things that I think are beneficial to me all end in disorder for some reason.
Like what?
Like attention deficit. I mean, it's just a lot of different moving parts, and so I think being able to really shift gears quickly
Hmm.
is a skill that you kind of have to have.
Hmm.
You're going to be
Probably
in
dealt with a
this.
tantrum or two, right? As a realtor?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So,
Just definitely have had different experiences where, emotions get high,
oh,
and
yeah.
I'm there to help talk them through it, help them make the best informed decision.
Yeah, because it's one of those settings where you may have seen that 50 times, but this is the only time they'll
Exactly,
ever see it or hear about it.
exactly.
You're like, did I just lose my house? You're like, no.
And I don't, that's the beautiful thing is I get to be calm because I have seen
Oh,
this
yeah.
happen so many times. I know that the outcome is going to be good or bad, whether, depending on the scenario. So I can be
Mm.
calm in the chaos.
But that's what people are buying. They're buying that skill set at the most crucial time versus, oh, I've got a realtor.
Right.
But they're buying you in that moment because,
It's the expertise that we
yeah,
bring to the table, in addition to a bunch of other things.
yes.
But just having the experience and the expertise is well worth its weight in gold.
And I would imagine now you have a pretty good sense of, right, this is about to go off the tracks.
Well, early on, I can tell where I
Yeah,
need more education to
yeah,
keep it from going off the tracks.
yeah.
So I think
So
it's
good.
the experience helps you be able to spot it earlier.
Yeah.
Because even if we've seen it before and we don't realize the client isn't on the same page yet, that's where
Mhm.
I think now I can tell really quickly on whether it needs more hand holding or not.
Gotcha. I don't, I had never had any interest going in the real estate world for one main reason is I don't want to call on a football Saturday that's a buyer of mine wants to go look at 3 houses. I'm like, dude, my game's about ready to kick off. So you're pulled in many directions many times a week, aren't you?
Yes, I laugh when people say they get into real estate because it's flexible.
For the buyer or the seller, it's flexible. They call
Somewhat,
you, I
yeah,
need that. Yes.
yeah.
But I would just want to be a listing agent. And granted, you have open houses, things like that. So I get that. But I don't know how you guys do that on a weekend because you can plan only so much at
Right.
times, right? Do you have a window that you just don't do anything real estate wise because you're busy with kids or family or something like that?
I mean, I definitely have my calendar, and
Hmm.
so if someone has to, look at a certain time, then I will
Ah,
say this is
okay.
when I have that time available.
Yeah.
Because whether it's a real estate and appointment that I've already scheduled, or if it's a kid's birthday party that's on
Yeah.
my calendar, my calendar is what it is. So,
Okay.
but I'm
Good.
pretty open. Like I wouldn't say that every day I take appointments. I try to take at least one day of rest.
Yeah. Good.
But I can be flexible on that. It doesn't have to be a Sunday that is my day of rest. It might be a Monday
Oh,
that's my day
okay.
of rest.
All
But
right.
everybody needs a day of rest.
Well, and I've learned a lot about you in the we've known each other for a few months. I've learned a lot about you is I can pretty much text you at any time and get an
Yeah,
answer.
that's true.
Love that. So I
That's
was
true.
up this morning and I had not given you the address for where we are yet. And I thought, well, I'll just wait. So I got up early because I'm old and I get up early and I'm at the computer at 5:15. I'm thinking like, oh, it's too early to text her. Probably wouldn't have been, but I waited till what, quarter to seven, I think maybe. But I
Oh,
do
so
like that about you though. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I
Because
respond.
you're on it. Yeah. Yeah. You're up and on it. All right. So your name, Melonie. Where did that come from?
So I believe it was a piano player that my dad like. I don't really remember. I haven't asked him the story in a while,
Okay.
but I definitely was named after a musician of some sort,
All right.
but I don't remember.
All right.
Melanie.
I haven't asked in a while.
That was
Was it? Do you
musician
remember?
Melanie.
Okay,
Really?
Was
okay,
sung by Melanie.
okay. Great.
I guess we
That's
just learned
good to
something today. All
know.
right.
Was she a piano player or? Okay.
Yeah.
Teenage,
Younger. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up.
I
So,
should ask my dad again.
yeah. So it's a better story if your dad knew her. That would be the better story.
He
So,
knows a lot of musicians, but
there
I
you
don't
go.
think he knew her.
Did you get any music skills from him?
Actually, Saturday, he pulled out some old cassette tapes and played a piano concerto that I had done years ago. It went on and
Oh,
on forever.
impressive.
It was not that impressive.
Do you still play the piano?
I don't. I mean, if there's a piano, I'll sit around and tinker.
Okay.
But no, I didn't. I wish I had have continued
All right.
because I do think it's a beautiful thing to have a
Yeah.
hobby and to know how to
Mhm.
play an instrument. It's a great stress reliever. But
Oh,
no, I
yeah.
don't really.
And
No,
at parties, when somebody can sit down, start playing
that's
a couple
true.
songs. Oh,
It
yeah.
can be
That's
a
like,
good party trick.
hey, look, yeah. Uh,
Chopsticks. I'm playing mean chopsticks.
Add that to your LinkedIn profile,
There you
right? Mean
go.
chopsticks and three-fingered video games or
Yes,
whatever we were talking about
yes.
earlier.
Yep. Texas Instruments. Yeah.
Any of the kids get the music skill
So
from?
my oldest son definitely plays the guitar and is very good at it.
Okay.
He's my musician. My daughter had an electric guitar for a bit, but I think she just sold it.
I'll bet that was loud in the house.
I don't think she really played it that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
Shame.
did she buy
She
that?
asked for it for her birthday.
Okay. And
And
she was
her,
how old?
it was 16, 15 or 16. So
She
she
played.
had it a few years and just didn't really play it. And
All
one of her
right.
friends bought it from her.
Those can be loud.
Yes.
That and the
Got the
drum
little,
set. Yeah, yeah. All right, so you went to Durham Tech, right?
did. Right after high school, I took the summer off
There you go.
and went to Durham Tech and wanted to be a paralegal and quickly realized paralegals do all the work and the attorneys get all the money and I couldn't afford law school, so that didn't last very long.
Okay, that was my next question. So what was the plan? So why paralegal? Where did that come
Oh,
from?
because I wanted to go into law school and then be a senator and the first woman president. Isn't that what everybody
Nice.
wants?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to realize, okay, paralegal's not for me?
Really pretty quickly, I think. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the law stuff? The
I
law
did.
part
I
of it?
did. And I had taken Latin and aced it. I did very well in Latin. Latin and algebra were my favorite subjects.
You're
So,
kidding.
no, I'm serious. Latin and algebra were my
All
favorites.
right, I
So,
gotta write that down. Hang on a sec.
the legal stuff did make sense to me just because of my background. So,
Okay, because I write down notes from each show,
okay.
and Latin and algebra
And that
favorite
one
subjects.
surprised you?
I don't know that I've ever heard the two together before from anybody.
They were my favorites. My algebra teacher was amazing. And so there was this one other kid in the class. He and I would, of course, because I'm competitive, try to see who could get the higher score because not everybody got it as good as we did.
Yeah.
And so there was always extra credits. And so, if we could get 120, we were thrilled.
You guys were the curve buster. For me, that
We
would make
were.
82. I need 6 points. Back in my day, you had to have an 87, 88, 87 to get a B. It was
Okay.
94 to 100, 87 to 93. None of this on the zeros numbers. We had to actually make a grade. And I would get like I lived in the 82 range. And I would pray for the curve. And yet there were curve busters like you in my class who just thwarted me from going from a C to a B.
Sorry.
Are you?
I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think it was because I had a great teacher. So shout out to all the great teachers out
All
there.
right.
It makes a difference, y'all.
Your plan to use Latin where or what?
Um, I don't really know that I had a plan. It was one of the classes and I wanted to
Huh?
take it. And the first year I really enjoyed it. So I went with it. Just kept
Have you
going.
used it since school?
It really does help understanding words because, all of our root words come from Latin.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
it comes in very handy for SATs and different things.
Are you a good test taker?
I'm a pretty good test taker. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The real estate exam, no problem.
No problems.
All right. What other big tests like that have you taken?
I can't think of anything
Okay.
recently.
SAT, obviously, right?
Yeah, I can't think of anything recently
Okay.
though. But in school, I was a competitive person. So I always wanted to be the first one to finish the test and get the best grade.
There you go. All right. And usually you did both?
I usually did
Okay.
both. Not always. And it also depended on if I cared about the subject or not. If I
Yeah, oh,
didn't really care, then
yeah.
I really didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed writing class. I loved writing.
I had a great English teacher.
Biology and all the chemistry stuff.
Yes, I still remember my biology teacher. I'm sure he probably hated me because I wasn't as into that class. But
No.
he was a great teacher.
And for people my age range, back in the day, we had the overhead projector where the teacher would put right on a,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had
Oh,
to
yeah.
look, you got to turn the lights off so it shines on the front wall. And in high school, I think it was my sophomore year in high school, I was taking a biology class, and it was right after lunch. And she'd cut the light off, and like
Oh,
three of us,
no.
our heads would just go back. Yeah, fall
Makes
asleep.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense,
I
though.
didn't. I didn't. Again, tip of the hat to the people who love the sciences, but yeah, that wasn't me.
After lunch and the lights off, though, that was a
Yeah,
bad
I quickly
combination.
learned. Yeah, yeah.
Did you keep the room cold at least?
Not enough to keep me awake some days.
Clearly.
I think I passed that. Yeah, passed that just enough. So, the best thing about going to Southern High School was what?
Wow, the people I met, I'm still in touch with several of them, and they're
Hmm.
just amazing. It was a great school. We were the last graduating class at Southern Dorm High School before GlaxoSmithKline bought facilities. So it's
Ah,
been completely revamped, and I was able to go in there after many, many years and didn't feel exactly the same, but I could definitely tell it was my old high school. So that was cool.
and what extracurricular activities were you involved in?
In high school,
Hmm.
Not so much in high school. In middle school, I played volleyball. I did cheerleading. In high school, not so much.
How come? Any debate teams or anything like that?
I did chess club again. Throwing a caveat here. I'm sure you weren't expecting that,
Yeah, let
but
me add
I
that
was
to the
in
list.
chess
Chess
club
club.
and loved it. Loved it. Strategy, right? All about strategy.
That makes sense. See, I thought you'd be a pretty good debate student as well. I think you would enjoy that, right?
It usually comes up high in my profiles of
Well, yeah,
things that I
because,
should do. Yeah, which
but
is why I think I wanted to go into law
yeah,
school
oh yeah.
and doing that just because.
But the other reason why I think you would be a pretty good debater is you're not afraid to public speak and you read a lot. You study up on subjects. So
Yeah,
when I say
that's true.
something that's half true, then you're like, oh, let me correct you on that, Mike.
I mean, only if I have an
Normally, if you have one,
opinion.
okay, yeah, let me write that down too. So,
Yeah.
I always like doing intel on people, and sometimes you have to go to the third page of Google. But
Hopefully, you didn't have to go that far on me.
well, like, your first page was all the real estate stuff. I'm like, I don't want to know
Yes,
that. I want to know.
that's all I
So I
want to know.
believe, and I can't remember where I found that, but I believe in 2009 you were a triathlete.
2009 through about 2014.
Okay,
Yeah, I was pregnant with Zeke, the last triathlon I did.
all right.
So yeah,
How'd you do?
I
Did you make
finished.
known to everyone you beat that pregnant here just
I
beat
didn't know
you?
I was pregnant at the time.
Okay,
So
all
that
right,
was the big surprise.
okay.
I did not know I was pregnant, but yes, I never placed in any of the triathlons. I did them just for fun and the
Mhm.
workout, and always had a blast. It was so much fun. It was very, very, very fun.
And for those of you not familiar with triathlon, in order without stopping, you swim, then you bike, then you run. So you get out of the water, put shoes on, jump on a bike, pedal however far the triathlon is, and then get off the bike, maybe put on different shoes, and then go run. And you can stop if you want to. You're going to fall way behind, but it's an impressive event. My wife did a couple when we were in Florida. It was a half-mile swim, 20 miles on the bike, and then a 5K, which is
Okay,
3.1
yeah.
miles.
That's like what I did.
That was
They're
impressive.
considered a sprint
Yeah,
triathlon, and those were fun. They're just a lot of fun. I feel like it's not so involved that you have to quit your full-time job to train for it,
Right.
because an Ironman is a lot.
I love watching the highlights of the Ironman.
It's a lot of training, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you better be ready.
Because they'll swim a mile, run, bike like 100 miles, then run a marathon.
Yeah, it's
all
usually
in
120
all in
miles.
one day.
Mm-hmm.
Which of those 3 legs did you enjoy the most?
So I really enjoy indoor cycling. That was kind of how I started into triathlons, is I was just going indoor cycling a lot. And I never have enjoyed running. Still to this day, don't enjoy running. I feel like the only reason you should run is if something's chasing you. But swimming, I grew up in the water. We'd go to the lake a lot and go to pools and different things, but I never really learned like the proper way to swim. So that was kind of exciting about it, is I wanted to learn how to swim.
No surprise from you. Yeah. Learning new things.
Yes. So that was kind of the push for me to do a triathlon. Was I'm already doing the cycling and I enjoy it, so let's try these others and see what you can do. So duathlon would have probably been better for me, but without the run at the end, because I just don't like the running. I just really don't enjoy it that much.
Was this you and a friend or friends decided to do this?
So one of my friends had done it, and she told me all about it, and she was all hyped up, and I was like, great, let's do it. Let's sign up for one together. And we never did one together, but I made other friends along the way, and they were all into it, and we had a lot of fun. It was a really great group of people, and I think, everybody was pretty health conscious and liked the healthy aspect of it, so it was fun.
Pretty good feeling when you're finished. That's pretty good accomplishment.
I think I did about 15 of them.
Oh, wow.
Over the years. So yeah, I did quite a few. It was fun. It was kind of addicting a little bit. You never did one with your wife?
No, huh?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't care to cycle that far. I'll swim or run all day. That's not a problem, but just cycling, it's like,
outside or inside?
Either.
Either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seat's a little
inside, I get bored.
A little small.
Yeah.
Seat.
Yeah.
Got to numb up to that.
Yeah. I can swim. I go swimming in the morning, so swim is not a problem. Distance isn't a problem. Speed, never have been fast, but distance is not a problem. And ran through high school and in college until my back decided I didn't need to run anymore, but enjoyed that. But cycling,
yeah, it's fun. I think it's fun. The music, of course, for indoor cycling made it that much more exciting. Outdoor, it's not as much exciting for me. I think it's just dangerous outside. There's so many crazy drivers out there. In a race, it's fine because obviously they mark off a whole lane of traffic for you, so you're not as worried about that. But the practicing for being outdoor riding was scary to me, so I just did all of it indoor.
Okay, that makes sense. I always enjoy this show for a number of reasons, but one is I like when different comes in the room because I know what I grew up and stuff like that. So I have an older sister and a younger brother, which is wonderful. Love them to death. But you have 5 siblings. Ew. Where are you in the pecking order?
So I'm the youngest girl. So there's 2 older sisters and 3 younger brothers. So I feel like it made me spoiled enough. But when you're one of 6, you're going to be grounded.
So you're third?
Mm-hmm.
So 3 girls and then 3 boys?
3 girls, 3 boys. And we weren't the Brady Bunch.
Well, that changed the dynamics of the house, didn't it, when the first brother came around?
But he and I are a year apart. Like, we're Irish twins, so I don't not remember having a brother. Like, he came home from the hospital on my first birthday, and my mom said I didn't.
Ruined your birthday, didn't
it? Yeah. Totally did. I think, based on what I'm told.
The things we remember, yeah. So who shared rooms with who?
The girls. We had the girls' room and the boys' room.
How many houses did you live in once all 6 of you were there?
Just one.
Wow. And 3 beds in each room, right? Bunk beds?
My brothers had the triple bunk.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
Mm.
how they had that, how they made it work, but they did.
Well, we're dumb enough to jump off the top of it. That's why parents build it up because we're gonna do it anyways. May as
There was a
well.
lot of that. I don't think anybody ever broke a bone on the bed though, thankfully.
So some good stories where where at one time you were the older sibling in a situation, sometimes you were the younger sibling and hand-me-downs and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I feel like it helped hone my negotiation skills.
Mainly at the dinner table
Yes.
when there are 2 rolls left and 4 people wanted
Yeah,
one.
that was part of it. Yes, definitely. But I think I loved growing up in a big family. So I
I
think it
bet.
makes you
Yeah.
really learn what the world is about because, hey, it's not all about you out there. So if you can learn that early on, that's a benefit.
So once the youngest brother, all right, I'm gonna test you here.
Oh boy.
Once the youngest brother got into first grade, how many different schools were the 6 of you
So we
in?
went to private schools. We were always in the same school.
Oh, that helped mom a lot.
Yeah, for
Minivan,
sure.
minibus
Station
with 6
wagon.
kids. Ah, yes.
Station
And there was
wagon.
a
We called
peck
it the Blue Bomb.
and there was a pecking order on who sat where, right?
We would fight over the back row
Oh
because
yeah.
the back row we got to face backwards and make
Yeah.
silly faces
And
and all
mom
that
couldn't
good
reach you.
stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't reach us,
Yeah.
couldn't see what we were doing.
My wife tells a story about her mom that they had a back row in some they're military, so they moved around a lot. So depending on where they lived, what cars sometimes they had. And the goal there was to sit as far away from mom as possible so mom couldn't do that, right?
Right.
So mom bought a fly swatter and brought it in
Ooh.
the car.
Then
and
she
then
could
and then
reach.
could reach everybody she wanted to.
You're smart.
But yeah, sitting in the back. And of course we're sitting on, the things we did in cars. We're laying on places in the back in a traditional car, we'd lay on the back window or on the ledge by the back window in the back seat. We just lay up there and no seat belts, right?
Nope.
But so was it the oldest three that got to sit in the back or the biggest three, the loudest three? How did
Well,
that?
in the morning on the way to school, it was whoever got up first got to sit in the front. So the goal
Ah,
was to get up, get ready, and then you could sit in the front.
okay.
Otherwise, it was fighting over the back.
And so tell me again now, number of grandkids and great grandkids for your parents.
I need to do the numbers, but they're up to the almost 30. We're
That's
pushing 30.
awesome.
Pushing 30 and my parents' grandkids and combined with now they have great
Yeah,
grandkids. So,
that's impressive. Good for
yeah,
your parents.
they love it. They
Oh, I have three
absolutely
and it's
love it.
awesome. I can't imagine more.
They spoil them rotten. I'm sure you
Yes,
do
that's our
that too.
job.
That's
Oh,
what she
yes.
says. That's what she says. Good
We
job.
always send, hey, we'll call our daughters-in-law. Saw this for Maggie or Cortland. Depends on which one we're talking to. It's like, "Er, did we go ahead and send that? We don't ask it anymore if we can get it. We just go, we're going to send that if. And so, yeah. But well, I don't know who's your oldest son?
Dominic.
Dominic. Okay. So when Dominic was born, did you and your husband still try to buy a bunch of Christmas presents and then quickly realize, let the grandparents do that?
So it really was when Jake came
Oh,
around.
okay.
That's when I was like, this is too much. They're buying them so much that we really don't need to. So
Yeah.
that is when the rule in our house changed to three gifts.
Yeah.
Three
Yes.
gifts for
Yeah.
Christmas.
I was at a family member's house for Christmas many years ago, and there were so many presents for the kids. We had to stop and take a break. Everybody was
Wow.
tired from opening gifts. So, needless to say, next year there's about a 25% of the gifts that were allowed in the house. So,
That's
but it's
funny.
the same thing we learned early on. Let the grandparents buy all this stuff because they're going to do it anyway. So, yeah.
Exactly.
And if we're 4 years old, do we really care who gave us the gift? No, we just know we
Absolutely
got
not.
9 or, the coolest one or whatever. So, Melanie, love having you on the show today. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
The stories, Latin and algebra. I will remember that for a long, long time because when I talk about somebody that's been on the show, I generally write just note one single note like this down to say, "Oh yeah, ask her about this or ask him
Okay.
about that." So, all right. So somebody think now they've listened to us for a little while. They're obviously smarter, more entertained. We know that. What's something they should do in the next week or month if they think by the end of the year they'd like to be in a house? What should they start looking at?
Um, First thing is really talk to the lender. I
Okay.
mean, that is truly the first step. And if you don't have a great lender, give me a call and I can connect you with my amazing lender. And that really is best.
Yep.
If you're a little nervous about contacting anyone just yet because you just want to kind of get started on things, then just start looking at your budget and what you can afford in your next house, and then start saving for your closing costs and your down payment.
Ooh, good
Because
advice. Yeah.
that's going to be something you'll need. So the earlier you start saving for it, the better.
Yeah. So I like that, but it makes perfect sense because it's hard to start. It's hard to get into that tomorrow
Right.
without, oh, we don't have anything saved to do that because, oh yeah, you got to move your stuff. So you got to pay for a moving van. Yeah. So a number of
Yeah.
things do that. So great advice, but that's why you should call Melanie. Tips like that. I'm sure you have a checklist to give to people, right?
We do. We have a home buyer guide or a home seller guide. So give us a call.
Folks, it's worth getting it just to look through it, just to see what you're about to go through. It's information is so good that you guys should look into that as well. So we've been putting Melanie's phone number on the screen here. What's the best website to go find more information about your company?
m2realty.com.
Love it, plain and simple. Good luck with 2024 is off to a good start.
And a great start so
Good.
far.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, let's keep that going. So we thank you for being on the show. Good luck the rest of 2024, and we'll see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.